What's up everybody, another beautiful day in the Dragon Isles, and today we're taking a look at Shadowmoon Burial Ground as an enhancement shaman. The build I'm running here is the elementalist build, and I have a guide for this build out, linked in the descriptions. Trying out some new content here, so if you'd like to see more dungeon guides like this, let me know in the comments. So when the dungeon starts, you don't want to use Windrush. I did here because we had a druid with Roar, otherwise it's better used after first pack, since you get a long run following it. Now the first pack of the dungeon, nothing spicy, just open with Primordial Wave Cleave, interrupt Bone Mender, and use Thunderstorm Sunder to interrupt the Bony Boy's Void Lash. Then you want to Windrush to get past the big old elemental patrol faster, unless it lines up like this and you AFK instead, but you get to AFK faster. Next pack I usually Flame Shock or Primordial Wave the furthest away mob and one in melee, so I can get my Primordial Wave Lightning Bolts out fast to get that burst and haste. You want to purge the Loyalist when its buff is up and interrupt the spirits, in cap, things like that to keep him from teleporting away, and Thunderstorm can AoE interrupt these as well. In the next pack, not counting the spiders, think of the purge. Make sure to interrupt the Boner Mender and use Thunderstorm, Incap, and Sunder to keep the Bony Bros Void Slash in check. Ancestral Guidance is great here as you can line it up with Big Burst and funnel a lot of healing into either your tank or a rando DPS die. Moving on to the first boss, which is Blood Fury. You want to save Primordial Wave for each Dark Communion to help burst it down and to get more value out of it, since you get 20% haste rather than 10. And you can do this setup while you're running towards the add to lose less uptime. So as you're running towards it, your Primordial Wave into Lightning Bolt and then you slap it like crazy. And if you're the only player that can slow it, you might want to open with a Frost Shock or Stun Totem, and you can Windrush whenever it's available to get to the add faster. During Dark Eclipse, while you're AFK, you can spam your shocks, Elemental Blast if you're close to having 2 charges on it, otherwise just spam Lightning Bolts to keep a tiny bit of DPS. Can even off-heal if needed. Ancestral Guidance is great to pop during Whispers of the Dark Star to help your healer a bit, as well as Health Pot or Health Stone if needed on higher keys. Now for the next pull after second boss, if you're doing the big pull, meaning all of the Dominators, keep in mind that the Dominators won't do anything until you interrupt them, either by, well, interrupting or stunning slash incapping them. So some players just don't interrupt them, but assuming you do interrupt these, you want to try and line up your Thunderstorm, Sundering, and Incap totems so you interrupt multiple dominations and or rending voids. So at the start of the pull, or while tank is gathering them up, I try to Flame Shock one of the faraway mobs and then Primordial Wave one in melee and Lava Lash spread it so I can get my Lightning Bolts out fast into some Frost Shock slaps. Again, a great pack to pop Ancestral Guidance on if things are going dicey or if you miss an interrupt. Just heal! Now following this, the Death Speaker packs. Make sure to purge their Absorb and interrupt their Death Blast. Again, Sunder, Thunderstorm, great as AoE interrupts here. Now for the next boss, you can either Primordial Wave on pull to get it off cooldown, as the first add spawns roughly 35 seconds into the fight, which means if you hold it for that, you're potentially losing an extra cast if it's a long fight. However, if you do hold it, you should use it to kill the soul add, so that you go into the damage increase phase following this add with 20% haste instead of 10. You should also try and line up Wolfies for this and any trinket you might have, so that as soon as the soul add dies, you click it, pop Wolfies and trinket and smash boss. Because if you weren't aware, which a shocking amount of DPS players aren't, you get 40% damage increase for 20 seconds after your soul has been returned. So you definitely want to pop off after a soul. Other than that, Windrush to help with one of the Void Vortexes. Next pull, another biggie just like the one after first boss. You want to help tank gather them by interrupting the Exhumers in the back before caring about the Dominators, so you can stack them up nicely. Use Thunderstorm, Sunder, and Incaps to control the Dominators and Exhumers. Prio is to interrupt domination, otherwise rending Void Lash, and depending on what key level you run, you might get 2 Thunderstorms out in a pack like this, so don't sleep on that ability, it is extremely good. Then you want to Windrush down the ramp and into the next pad pack. You want to be fast here with spreading Flame Shock and firing off the Primordial Wave Lightning Bolts. There's only 3 big mobs, but tons of spiders, so you want to get this off before those tiny spiders die to get the most value out of it. 30% extra haste makes a difference, and hey, it's pad. And you can use all your AoE CC to interrupt the bat's cast, and just your regular old wind share for the spider's necrotic burst. And you can Ancestral Guidance if one of their casts goes off and you need some extra bursty healing. The next spider pack, same thing really. Depending on key level, you may or may not have primordial wave ready here, but if you do, get it off before all the small spiders die. For the worm pack before third boss, most tank pull 4 bats into one of these worms. If so, try to line up primordial wave with that and use your end caps to AoE interrupt the bats. We have so much control for packs like this, so it'd be a shame if you didn't use them. Then we have the third boss, Bone or Maw. All cooldowns on pull, but when the worm adds spawn, make sure to flame shock both of them and refresh when needed. This reduces your lava lash cooldown by a lot and adds a lot of damage to it, since every flame shock tick increases lava lash damage. And when you primordial wave lightning bolt, you'll get 30% haste instead of 10 to smash boss with. Plus pad, and you can help out with ancestral guidance during breath or inhale if needed, as well as use defensive cooldowns on breath depending on key level. The higher the key, the more it slaps. Some tanks and classes are able to pull the packs after third boss into third boss, and if they do, then you of course want to line your first primordial wave with that, so you get a ton of extra pad, as well as ancestral guidance, so you get through it a bit safer. Now if you didn't pull it with boss, well then you get to deal with it after boss. During the last pack with the 2 void elementals, make sure to ancestral guidance a bit before one of the void pulses, while both of them are still alive to help out healing. You can combine this with primordial wave for extra burst damage, which means Mao healing. I usually pop a healing stream totem as well to help and to buff my healing surges in case I need to spam myself or someone else after or before a void pulse. This is also a great spot for healthstone or health pot, especially if the elementals somewhat sync up their casts. Healers might not be able to heal you enough before the next one hit, so topping yourself helps counteract death. And for the last boss, which is Ner'zhul, I don't use primordial wave on pull and instead hold it for the first ritual of bones, which is roughly 20 seconds to the fight, because during this there's ads for them pads, and it also makes your primordial wave line up perfectly for each and every ritual of bones following that one. But as you're running to the ad you're gonna nuke down, I flame shock one of them, primordial wave another rando, and then I flame shock the target we're gonna nuke down. And then I lightning bolt as I arrive at the ad, so I get 40% haste to smash the ad with, which makes all the ritual of bones phases a lot faster since, well, you smash the ad pretty darn good. I also hold Sunder for these so I can hit both boss and the ad. If group is ever low during Ritual of Bones, it's great to combine the burst with Ancestral Guidance, otherwise just wherever group is taking a lot of damage. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this enhancement dungeon guide. Now for my UI, I will link my default UI code that you can import in edit mode in game, as well as most of the main Weakauras I use for enhancement. Sadly, I cannot share all of my Weakauras like the dungeon Weakauras nor my plater or detail settings, as I got them from subbing to now on Twitch, so I'm not gonna give out his work without his say-so. But yeah, please let me know what you think of this dungeon guide. Would you like more guides like this for future M+ seasons? I'm also considering doing more in-depth dungeon guides as well that's not only aimed at enhancement, where I go over all packs, bosses, what's dangerous and why, and tips and tricks. So yeah, hit me up. And if you have any questions at all, hit me up here or become a patron or Twitch sub and get access to the Stankie Gaming Discord, which is the fastest way to get a hold of me, and it's also filled with a lot of useful info and helpful people if you need any help PvE wise. Now don't forget the usual stuff, like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, ring that notification bell. Gotta best that YouTube algo. I'm also streaming all my progression rating and some dungeon spamming on Twitch, mostly Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. Stankie Gaming. And yeah, thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time.